Hi and welcome. Today we're starting out a little bit different. We're going to be using this clear book cover paper or contact paper to pour our skin on. This is going to make us have a very clean adhesion to our frame that we're going to be making today. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Now, this is the frame that we're going to be using today. You can use any kind of frame. This one came from Five and Below, but you can get them from the dollar store, from the local hobby store, or just one you have lying around the house that needs a makeover. This one is flat, so it should be pretty simple to do. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and unfurl my contact paper. It really doesn't matter if it's clear in this case because we're going to be pouring right on top of it, and that is the cat. She's come to say hello and help with this project. Hey, baby. And so what I'm going to do is just make sure that I have enough contact paper that would fit over this. So it's just going to be laying on the contact paper just like this. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut a piece so that I can pour on it. Now, contact paper, since it tends to be a little curly, can be a little bit unruly when you go to pour on it. So I'm probably just going to tape this down so that I can pour on it. And here we are. I've got it taped down. I'm a little concerned about these ridges, but I think I can work around them. It's popped up a little bit. And this is my paint. It is gold. I have 3 colors of gold, and they're each made with something a little bit different. This one has a precious gold from Pebeo, or rich iridescent gold. And this one, the next one, is yellow ochre and 24 karat gold from Deco Art. And I use that so it'll be less transparent. I add some yellow ochre in there. That's a good little trick. This one also has yellow ochre, and it's going to have a little bit of brown and a little bit of antique gold from Folk Art. So it's going to be a darker, more rich antique color. So these are all mixed with Floetrol and water and my paint, 3-to-1 usually, so it's fairly thick but not too thick. So kind of a medium thickness here. It really doesn't matter how thick it is as long as you get good coverage. You can also use existing skin, so you can piece them together to do this as well. But I have a certain idea in mind, so I am going with the mottled gold look this time. So I'm just going to continue to put my paint down. It really is this simple with these regular paints. And then I'm just going to take my little spatula and go over this, kind of swirl it together. You can use a skewer. I have several videos that teach you how to make skins, different types of skins. There are lots of different kinds of skins that you can make from different mediums, and you can use them in all kinds of projects. So check out my acrylic skin playlist, and I'll link that down below. Okay, so I'm going to begin putting a little bit of my 24 karat gold that is just in a bottle. I'm going to make some designs. You can use a skewer to do this, but I'm actually adding paint on top of it to do this. It's just going to give it a really neat effect. Now, I could have tilted this if my paint was thinner. It is on a tray for that specific purpose, so you can tilt these. I'm not going to even try it with this paper because I'm afraid it's going to come loose from the tape, and I don't need to because that's why I smoothed it out. So there's several ways that you can get the effect that you want. Once I'm done making my designs, I'm just going to torch it very quickly to get any bubbles out, being careful not to melt that contact paper, and then we're just going to let this dry. And it may take a couple of days, but when it's dry, we'll be ready to start. Okay, it's been 2 days and it is dry. I'm still concerned about these ridges, but I'm just going to flip this over and I'm going to dry fit my frame, try to avoid those ridges. The skins dry at different rates depending on what time of year it is and what your climate is like. This one took 2 days. It could take 3 or 4 days if it's fairly wet outside, and depending on where you're doing this project or where you're drying your skin. I'm just dry fitting it just to see where it goes, and I think this will work. I'm going to go ahead and take a pencil and I am going to trace around my frame. What I would like to do is leave a margin and then fold it up, but realistically this may not work that well and have good enough adhesion for that, and I don't want to use any glue on this because I want it to be completely flat and very neat, and I don't want my skins to buckle. A lot of glues, including diamond glaze, which I usually use, can buckle your skins. So let me go ahead, and I've marked the middle here because I'm going to have to cut the middle out. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I know where the middle is. And that's okay. I have a plan B if I can't pull the edges up around the sides of the frame, we'll be fine. But there's only so much that this contact paper can do. As long as I have a flat front, I think I'm going to be happy with it. And if you don't need a flat front, then you don't really have to worry about it. Okay, I'm just cutting this out, cutting the middle out and the sides. The shape's a little bit complicated, and making sure that it fits. And then we're just going to peel the back off of it if it works okay. And this is what it's going to look like. And this gold one is really cool because it actually kind of looks like a wood grain. Yes, I could have grained it. I could have done this and faux painted it for sure, but that's not fun. That's not what I do. I'm doing it with skins to show you can use any kind of skin to do this. But this is just the particular look that this skin is going to do. It's going to look like a wood grain, which you probably wouldn't have thought of when you do a gold skin. So I'm just going to place it very carefully onto my contact paper / skin because this is sticky on the back. And let's flip it over, make sure that it's going to do okay, and we don't have any wrinkles. Now I'm just going to quickly clip the corners and try to fold down my skin. It is very rigid, and the inside of the frame and the outside of the frame, the edges are all very rough particle board, and the chances it's going to stick is probably not great, and it isn't because it is not sticking. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just cut around it with an X-Acto knife and get a clean edge. I wish this would stick, but it won't. I can go around with some paint and paint it so you can't see the inside of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut around the inside of the frame and probably the outside of the frame, but I will double check and make sure that the contact paper will not stick. Now, skins themselves are very sticky, so sometimes they will actually stick pretty well. But I don't want any glue because I want a super clean front on this particular frame since it's flat. And glues, even diamond glaze, which I use a lot, I'm just cutting around the edge here, it will buckle the skin. So I don't want to take the chance with that. So I'm just going to cut around and get a super clean edge, and then I'll show you what I do as far as finishing that edge. It shouldn't be a problem. Of course it's going to stick, and I will have to use my X-Acto knife, but I'm just going to peel that all off super clean and then deal with the edges. I'm just checking to make sure everything is laid down and everything looks good, and I do not think this will work either as far as putting the edge around there, but I had to try, and it's just too rough. It's just not going to stick or look well. So I'm going to use some of my rich iridescent gold, and I'm going to be using some of my yellow ochre. So why I'm using both, and it's actually a little trick, is that if you just use the rich iridescent gold or the 24 karat gold or whatever gold you have, a lot of times it's very translucent, as you can see here, and you're going to see straight through this press board. Or it will take lots and lots of layers, and I don't have time for lots and lots of layers. So I'm just going to take some of my yellow ochre, which is a color you might not use that often, and I'm going to use it as a primer and put it down. And it's the same thing I did with my paints when I made this particular skin. So you can do this little cheat and put that down as the primer, and then you can go back and then you can take your regular gold, whatever gold it happens to be, which almost all of them are somewhat translucent. They are not super opaque, and you won't know the difference. You'll just have a really nice coverage. I'm just gonna paint the back as well while I'm at it. I just like a good finish product, so I'm just painting everything with the yellow ochre and then going back in and using my rich iridescent gold in this case, but any gold will then work perfectly over this. And it's a really good match for the front of my frame because that's what I did with the golds. I mixed them with yellow ochre to get a more opaque color. So I'm going to go around the edges and the inside, and then we should be good to go. It really is this simple to do a basic frame, and this one actually looks like a wood grain, but you can use any kind of skin, and you then can embellish them. Now here are some skins. Yes, these are skins. They are made in molds. They're just acrylic paint, and you can make something simple like this flower, or you can go pretty ornate. And these are also skins. These are just made in molds. I have a whole video on how to use molds to make skins, so check that out. I'll list that in the links below. And you can just glue these on with some diamond glaze or even a little E6000. And it's just that simple. Here's some more, just really, really cool little appliques that you can do with your paint. You're really not limited by anything but your own creativity. So really, sky's the limit. You can do moldings like this one. I'm just going to show you how to pull this out of a mold. And this could go all the way around the inside edge. So you can see here. And you can really see how ornate you can be with this. But whatever you decide to do, make sure that you hit that with something like this spray varnish or some sort of varnish. Even your diamond glaze can be used as a varnish. Some are a little bit easier used than others. And if you have existing frames, yes, you can use those two to embellish those. All you need to do is add your picture and you're good to go. Okay. I hope you found some inspiration to use acrylic skins. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, bye now.